Wonderful, wonderful. And welcome to our official student welcome for the class of 2028 here at Skidmore College. My name is Janessa Dunn. I am the Director of Admissions here up in Saratoga Springs, New York, and I am just super excited and thrilled that you have decided to spend your evening or your morning or your afternoon, wherever you all are in the world. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Before we delve into our conversation, at this time, it is 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so I'm going to reference evening in this space. But before we begin our time this evening, I do want to share a little bit about you, about our format this evening, but also some ways that you can communicate with us. So at the bottom of your screen, you have the opportunity to ask questions, and we want to hear from you. So at any point during our time today, please type in your questions in the Q&A feature, and we will be able to respond to them even either through typing or live. And most of your questions can be certainly directed to our wonderful students here who will be able to introduce themselves. And as you continue to hear from them today and you think of something, please feel free to put it there, and we'll be happy to take a look at it to share a little bit more about our experiences here at Skidmore. You'll also find that this evening's session is also recorded. And so, for example, if you have to go to a game or if you have to do some homework, and we know that you all are current high school seniors or even pursuing gap years at this point, you may have to work. We want to make sure that you're still able to get answers to your questions. And so you will have access to this session via email shortly thereafter our time together. And so be on the lookout for that too. And of course, at our end of our time, we'll be able to share some contact information and also other ways to engage with us as you are making your decision. We know that some of you may have already chosen to enroll at Skidmore, and we are beyond excited, whether you apply to us through Early Decision 1, Early Decision 2, or even Regular Decision. We are absolutely excited that you have decided to enroll. And for some of you, you may still be in this exploration period. And honestly, a lot of our questions today are going to get into some of those aspects of what types of questions should you be asking at this particular time. And our four students here are in various levels and experiences in their Skidmore experience, but they also have their personal attributes, and they're going to be able to provide some tips for you all as well that can help equip you to make the decision that makes best sense for you. We hope it's Skidmore, but also ensuring that you have the information that you need. So at this time, I am more than happy to share briefly a little bit about our admissions process this year. And I wanted to share with you deeply from the bottom of my heart that this class in particular is very special to me because it's my very first class here at Skidmore College as a director of admissions. We had the opportunity with our wonderful team of admissions counselors and support staff to help ensure that your transcripts were received, that we were able to take a look at your common application or your coalition application, what your teachers and your counselors were saying about you and how you interact with other people in the classroom. It had been a joy, an absolute joy to hear and see all of the wonderful things that you all, in which you all have been engaged. Some of you have been social activists, whether that is in environmental policy. Some are very active in politics. We also have students who are very active in the arts as well, whether you're pursuing performances or you're in the visual arts and painting and sculpture and pottery in so many different ways. We also have so many students who've engaged in community service, whether that is helping out in their own neighborhood or going abroad, or even here on a state level, participating and partnering with organizations. But ultimately, the pieces that we felt that necessarily spoke to you out of over 12, well, nearly 12,000 applications is how your alignment aligns with us. And so for us at Skidmore, we are a medium-sized liberal arts college with about 2,400 undergraduate students hailing from nearly all 50 states and several countries as well. You'll also find that several students have an interest in an idea in doing both. And you'll hear from our students this evening about their experiences and how they've been able to pursue not only the arts and the sciences, but to have a very robust social experience here at Skidmore. But you'll also have the opportunity to learn about the level of support and community. What does it mean to go away to college, especially if you're not around the corner, right? Or you are coming from a different country? What does that look like here at Skidmore? But you also have the opportunity to learn and to ask questions, things that may be important to you. So, of course, a lot of my time here is not going to be focused on me. I want to focus heavily on our students here because their experiences are the Skidmore experience, and the reason why I was drawn to come all the way from North Carolina in the deep South to make my way up to North New York to join this wonderful and beautiful and comforting community. And so at this time, I would love to have our students introduce themselves in any order that you pursue here. And actually, the first one on my screen here is actually Braden. So if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to Skidmore. I hope you get a lot out of tonight. My name is Braden Quinlan. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm from the Boston, Massachusetts area. If you're not familiar with the layout of the US, it's about 3.5 hours away from Skidmore. I'm a senior at Skidmore, so going to be graduating in about 2 months now, majoring in biology with minors in chemistry and statistics. I'm also pre-med here at Skidmore. On campus, besides working in admissions, I help out our communications department. I'm a tutor within the chemistry department. I went abroad last spring to Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm one of 50 or so peer health educators on campus, and I work as an EMT about 20 minutes north of campus for a local town.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Braden. Cadence.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cadence. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Connecticut, like 2.5 hours from here. I'm a social work major, biology minor. Not sure if I said I'm a senior. I'm a senior also. Outside of admissions, I work on 2 different social work research projects. I've also done chemistry and biology research. Outside of campus, I'm also doing research with a PhD student at University of Albany. I'm a CA in the apartments, which is kind of like an RA. I was an RA for the last 2 years. I was a senator in student government, but Josh can talk more about that than I can. I run my own art business. I'm running that for about 5 years now, and I'm involved in the dance program as well.
Wonderful, Cadence. Jana?
Hello, I'm Jana. I am a junior and a student from Hong Kong. It's not an achievable driving range, but it's around a 16-hour flight. I don't really recommend, but I'm a math major with a history minor, and outside of admissions, I was a peer tutor for a semester and included in a bunch of clubs like Outing Club, Nitwits, and our film club as well.
Wonderful, Jana. Excellent. And last but certainly not least, Josh.
Yeah, hi, I'm Josh. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a sophomore, like Braden. I'm also from Massachusetts. I'm a political science and philosophy double major and an international affairs and honors forum double minor. Outside of admissions, I'm a resident assistant in one of our residence halls. And as Cadence alluded to, I am a member of our student government as the vice president for financial affairs.
Excellent, excellent. So as you all have heard, our wonderful panelists here are involved in a wide variety of different interests. So if you're curious and haven't been taking tabs, we have representation from student government. We have representation from pre-med, thinking about pre-professional opportunities, not only academically, but even thinking about EMT support here in upstate New York. You have also heard a little bit about an entrepreneurial spirit coming from Cadence, having the opportunity to have her own business for 5 years in that space, which is excellent, but also being able to balance that with dance and other interests that are here at Skidmore. And of course, Jana, having the opportunity to have an experience from literally the other side of the world while also pursuing 2 different interests in math and history. And so, of course, there's so many different aspects here about the Skidmore experience that may be able to relate to you. And we encourage you to continue to ask those questions in our Q&A here, especially if you have some specifically for our students. But I would love to get us started just by thinking through, some of the questions that our students here are really interested in. And the very first one is, what factors were most important to you when you were choosing your new college home? In any order, whoever wants to go first there.
I'll take the leap first. I as I mentioned, I'm about 3 hours away from campus, and I knew I was someone that wanted to stay relatively close to home. I was very much a homebody throughout my childhood. Now, I was thinking I'd go home a lot more frequently than I would. I've gone home once in all my semesters here during the middle of the semester. Um, I also wanted to start research really early on. Research I knew was going to be really important to me. And at Skidmore, you can start the spring semester of your first year or second semester on campus. And you have the ability to do research in actually any department. So any of the 44 different departments we have on campus. So say, biology or pre-med didn't work out, I could jump over to international affairs or theater even and do research there. I also really wanted a welcoming community. I knew I was was the student that learned through asking questions or kind of raising my hands and stuff like that. So a small, intimate student body where I could do that in class, but also ask peers for help, and go to office hours and something like that. Talking with a professor, not a grad student, was really important for me. And Skidmore checked those boxes and checked them the best compared to the other schools I applied to. And I'm glad to say I don't have any regrets about choosing Skidmore.
Yeah, I share a lot of the sentiments with Braden. I think something that was really important to me as well was the community, especially the professors. A lot of the professors here go by their first names, and it makes them a lot more approachable. But all of the professors here really care about the students in their classes, whether you're a student in that major or if that's the only class you're taking in that department. The professors will know your names right from the start, and they'll be there for you throughout your time in that class and then also throughout your time at Skidmore. And they're also fantastic for making connections outside of Skidmore for professional opportunities. And I knew that I wanted to go to college at somewhere where I felt supported, especially by my professors. And that's something that really stuck out to me about Skidmore, and proved to be true.
I had a lot of similar things as well. I knew that I wanted to be close to home, and I wanted a smaller campus. I knew that I come from a really small high school, and I did really well there, and I knew that I wanted something similar. Obviously, my high school was like 300 people, so I wasn't going to get that in a college setting, but I knew that I wanted something smaller. But my original reason why Skidmore was at the forefront of my mind was kind of silly. I was at a college fair at my high school, and I was getting dragged around by my mom, and I was done looking at schools, and she's like, let's look at one more, and it was Skidmore. And one of the first things that the counselor said was we don't have a football team, we don't have Greek life. And I was like, okay, this is sounding interesting to me because it's not a community that's built around sports. Sports are an aspect of the Skidmore community, but it's not the center of it. And that's something that I was really interested in. And having strong club life, I think, is also really cool rather than Greek life. So that was something that was interesting to me that kind of drew me to Skidmore immediately. And then visiting the downtown area is amazing. So I liked I come from rural Connecticut. There is nothing around me. So having a really cool town like Saratoga was something that was really fun to me and very unique. And then I was all over the place with what I wanted to do, and I danced my entire life. I was interested in the sciences. I was a biology major for 2 years, so I knew that I could pick and choose kind of what I wanted and go into different areas that I was interested in and not have to really make a decision until the end of sophomore year. So I was able to explore. So that was something because I was all over the place, had no idea what I wanted to do. So I needed somewhere where I could explore my interests.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of similar or different to the rest of my peers, but I also love the aspect of having a small class. I could connect with all the professors and not be struggling by myself. And I was also very interested in the study abroad experiences since over 50% of the students in Skidmore go abroad to study, and it's so interesting that even me a math major could go to a bunch of different places and explore a lot of different like classes that might not be related back to my, I guess, major or minor. And like I've even taken a bunch of theater classes, even though it's not my major, and I always had a blast. So just having a lot of different major and minors and taking classes that are not specific to like one or another section of Skidmore always interested me.
I absolutely love hearing all of these different reasons and different ways of approaching it. And Cadence, I can't help but kind of chuckle a little bit as you talk about the college fair, because typically I'm on the other side of the college fair table, looking at, our students and their families and, who's leading and who's not. And so I'm so glad that you were able to stop by the Skidmore table at that time. But there was something that you mentioned that I wanted to ask this group. Skidmore is unique. We thrive, on our motto, which is creative thought matters. There's so many different ways and experiences and how students actually come together. And it is also unique in a way in which we do not have Greek life here at Skidmore. And, we have 19 wonderful Vision 3 teams. And yet also at the same time, we don't have a football team, in that space. And so how do you build community here? How have you all built community here at Skidmore? Was it an easy process? Were y'all scared? Like, what does that look like?
I can definitely answer this one because I always have an answer. My immediate, like the way that I built like my group, my friends, like came to find my people and build community was through working and on-campus jobs. So I made all of my closest friends are RAs. And I think that being in an environment where you're forced to live together and you have to do like 2.5 weeks of training in the summer, we're all kind of we're all bonded together through that. So I think working and then working in admissions, Brayden and I have known each other since freshman, sophomore year. We've been working together for a long time. We've had classes together. And I've met people through research. It's just working on campus. A lot of students work on campus, either for fun or just a little extra money, help with tuition, stuff like that. So being with people who are doing the same thing as you, going through the same trainings, stuff like that. That's kind of how I found my people. And then also joining clubs through classes. Like I said, Brayden and I have known each other for many years. We were lab partners. Um, so we've had a lot of time to get to know each other. And it's like Jana said, you're taking classes in different areas. So you have friends. I have friends from dance classes who are dance majors, and I'm very much not a dance major. It's not even a minor. So you're just meeting different people through all the different classes that you're taking. So you have a really random group of people and everyone kind of knows each other's friends, and it's really cool. So I think that's kind of my big way of meeting people.
I just like probably almost every incoming college student was very nervous about making friends because that was a huge transition to coming to a place where I didn't really know anybody. And something that was great for me were also my roommates in my first year. Um, being put into a room with two people who I've never met before, who were from very different backgrounds than I was really helpful to like very quickly meet people. And then, like Kaden said, everyone seems to know someone. And so you're able to meet people very quickly that way. Also, in student government, we oversee all of our student clubs on campus. And now there's over 100 student-run clubs on campus. And so I'm constantly meeting people through all of those and learning about all of their interests and hobbies and passions. And that's been a tremendous way to meet people just every single day and learn so much more about them as well.
For me, like since I was an international student, I was like not lying, I was terrified to be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for friends. But what I found was great was that my Scrivener seminar, like the class that is meant to help you guys transition from like high school life to college life, I found a lot of people that was in the same boat as me, and I found that a lot of clubs also helped me as well because like everyone has a small community that knows someone, and you can often find your people really quickly and also just like since it's your first year, you get to like experience a lot of like new friends, new people, and so I just met all of my friends through clubs, my classes, as well as just like talking to people and just being open minded during classes.
Yeah, so Cadence and I came in during COVID, which luckily you folks don't have to deal with anymore. But a story I don't share very often is that I wasn't in person, it was virtual. I virtually saw the counseling center within 24 hours of being on this campus because I was terrified I was not going to meet many people and my college life was going to be ruined. Um, it's the exact opposite. Once you talk to one person, you're going to meet their friends and they're going to introduce you, right? It's having 2,700 students on campus. It's the perfect number of you recognize everyone's face, but you don't know everything about everyone. As Cadence mentioned, we met freshman year in bio, then sophomore year, we were lab partners. We were not very good lab partners doing science together, but that's not the point of this discussion. Everything here is kind of meant, at least your first year, to have you meet friends. Something none of us talked about was SCOOP, Skidmore College Outdoor Orientation Program. Roughly 50 to 60% of the incoming first year class does it. It's a 3-day vacation, if you want to call it, before the semester starts. You can go backpacking, whitewater rafting, hiking, camping, canoeing. There's some where you stay on campus, called the Saratoga Sampler. You get to know Saratoga a little better. The theater department runs one. And that's led by an upperclassman. So like you're automatically knows someone with a little bit more seniority on campus. And there's about, say, 15, 20 other first years in that as well. So that's a really great way to make friends as well.
Thank you all so much for answering those questions so wonderfully and beautifully across different, the spectrum there. And so I want to dig into a little bit in terms of, things that that necessarily that will support our students. And actually we have a student who's asking a question here, which I think is very fitting to ask at this point in time was, what was your freshman rooming situation like? And how did you find a roommate? I imagine that that was different for Cadence and Braden during that time of year versus, coming in a little bit later. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I came in 2 years ago. So this was after a lot of the COVID precautions winded down. I came in and I was in a triple my first year, and I didn't know either of my roommates. We messaged briefly online before coming to Skidmore, but I really did not know who I was about to be living with for a whole year until the moment I walked in that door, which was a little freaky. But it worked out really well. There's just something about like having two people there right from the start who were really on this adventure with me. Um, and I got to know both of my roommates really well because we were in a room together for the whole year. I'm still really close friends with both of them. Um, and it was just a great way to also meet other people because they would introduce me to people, I would introduce them to other people. And yeah, it was great.
For me, it was similar. I came in like the year after COVID and all the regulations that Skidmore put in place. And how we do roommates is we would send you guys like a questionnaire of like what are your likes, dislikes. Would you like to be woken up at 8 a.m. for alarm or not? The usual stuff. And I was put in a double with another international student, so it was really nice to have like a built-in friend as well to be like, oh, I understand our struggles of like traveling a long time or not being from the US originally. And it was just really nice to be able to meet like another person and like have like a built in friend in a way. And like, I guess all like students have like there was worries of like, oh yeah, like we're living with a new person, like what are we gonna do? But like just with a lot of communication, it's gonna be fine. And I am still close with her, but like it's just like, oh, a built-in friend. Yay.
So I kind of lucked out my freshman year, or got unlucky, depending on how you look at it. I didn't have a roommate. So just because of the chances with like the lottery system with COVID, I was by myself. And then being an RA my sophomore year, I also had a single. And then housing at Skidmore works where junior and senior year, you typically live in an on-campus apartment where you have your own room. So I've never actually had to share a room. When I was an RA, none of my residents had any housing issues, majority of them being first years. So if you're kind of curious about all their discrepancies and stuff like that, it's not that common.
So I lived in a double with a roommate my first semester of my first year, and then second semester I lived in a single room. Because of COVID, it was that we were at 50% capacity. I shared a bathroom with like no one. So it was very different. My roommate and I got along pretty well, but we were very different. We didn't get to pick our roommates. That's not a thing at Skidmore. It was for a hot second, and then it changed back. And our personalities just didn't mesh very well, and we got along fine. We still say hi to each other. It was just there were other rooms available, and then I was an RA for the rest of my career at Skidmore, so I didn't have to worry about living with roommates. Yeah, that's my very honest answer.
Oh, very different experiences, right? And so I'm glad that you all were able to share about those experiences, the pros and the cons, and a little bit in between, in that space there. And so, as we think it through, the process of choosing, a college, many students may be looking, at colleges similar to Skidmore that may be medium sized like us, with about 2,700 undergraduate students, or for example, thinking about a residential community or being in the Northeast location wise, right, with an amazing college town. Can you share a little bit about what excited you the most about Skidmore? If you could kind of think back a little bit, in terms of enrolling, and even perhaps what surprised you, in a good way about Skidmore.
Um, when I enrolled in Skidmore, I knew from the start that I wanted to be a political science major. Um, and in high school, I took some government classes, but there really weren't that many for me to take. And then in the summer before my first year, I went to the Skidmore website and I started looking through the different course offerings in the political science department. And I got really excited about the course content and all the different classes that are taught here. And for a second, I was like, wow, am I really excited about taking these classes? But then I was like, yeah, like I'm pursuing my passion. And it was really exciting to see, like, wow, I can learn so much about all different forms of government in so many different aspects rather than just one class. And on a similar note, what surprised me is when I came here, I realized that I was interested in even more than political science. Like I said, I'm also a philosophy double major and in international affairs an honors foreign double minor. And those are things that I didn't expect to encounter while at Skidmore. But there are just passions that I picked up along the way, and I've enjoyed those as well. So the academics here definitely excited me.
For me, it was a similar situation where I looked through the different courses that were offered at Skidmore, and I was surprised by how many options that you could choose from, even if you're a freshman. Like right now, I have a friend that's taking like a comic book class, and I'm like, "What is that?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're just like reading and like writing and doing essays on like different like comic books and like the storyline and all the things." And I was like, "Whoa!" And so I was just really surprised of like being able to explore your first year here, and like I was able to do a bunch of theater even though I never done it before, or just be able to be interested in history and like different like it's really cool to be able to just explore and not have any like judgment and just have support from all the teachers and classmates. So
Yeah, I think similarly, having so many interests, like I've said before, going to a school that had literally everything that I wanted, a strong arts program, a strong science program, dance, and then also coming to find out that the professors are also really supportive. It's just everything kind of fit really well. And then I said also like the downtown aspect of Saratoga also really drew me in. And then I was surprised coming to campus. I don't know. I think it's a beautiful campus, and I think it's pretty every season. So being somewhere so pretty and coming from Connecticut, it's also really pretty there. So it was nice I didn't have to give up like the views and the seasons to go to college.
Yeah, I guess building off of Cadence's point, there, in my eyes, there isn't really a thing I would change about Skidmore. What's hard, right? I mean, everyone can kind of nitpick anything at the end of the day. And yeah, like I guess little tweaks and things, right? When it rains really heavy, Case Center can like sometimes flood in the middle, and that drives me nuts. But like that's really not a big deal at the end of the day. Like larger institutional issues, I wouldn't really change. The location is awesome. 20-minute walk to one of the best college downtowns. I mean, granted, I haven't been to the other college downtowns, it's just on a list, but I would think this is one of the best. Um, it's a 3 hours away from home. I mean, we have New York's largest ski area, an hour north of here. If you're a skier or a snowboarder, you'll love that. If not, it means probably nothing to you. But it really does fit all of the boxes. And I mean, plus like academics and doing research and things like that, they're really important to me. Um, so yeah, that it's kind of surprising how well it fit me and how well it stayed that way to fit me.
That's such a great segue, Brayden. Really thinking through, your experience, particularly you and Cadence, you all are about to graduate very soon, which I'm like, oh, let's stop talk about that for too long. But really thinking through, the nature of reflection and what Skidmore has meant to you all. So as seniors, how do you feel that Skidmore has prepared you for your next step in your journey?
I can start this one. I feel very prepared. I think one of the main like offices that really helped me was the Career Development Center. I kind of thought at the beginning of the semester, I was like, oh, I kind of got it figured out. I used them my first year to write a resume and a cover letter for the RA position. Very helpful. I've used the same resume, just been adding things to it. So same format since freshman year. But I kind of thought I had an idea of what I wanted to do, got to my first day of classes, and I was like, oh, no, I need some help. So I went and met to talk about grad schools and graduate programs and other things, and they were very helpful. They helped me narrow down what I wanted to look at, so I wasn't just looking all over the country. I had a very specific area. And then through the Career Development Center, grad school applications are very expensive. You all applied to colleges, I'm sure you understand. It's not something that I could afford, and there's a fund through the Career Development Center that'll help you pay for really anything you need. You just kind of tell them what you're going to be doing. And I was able to get that fund and pay for all my grad school applications. So I had help with that. I've had help with professors. There was one school that I applied to where I had to have 4 letters of recommendation, which is a lot. And I had 4 professors easily who said, absolutely, I'll do it for you. I texted them all pretty late at night and they all responded immediately. They're absolutely. So I think Career Development Center has been very helpful. Professors, and then also the professors I do research with, I didn't realize how I started social work research junior year, which is pretty recent. And having the support from professors at Skidmore, but also local professors like at University of Albany, being able to partner with other colleges and universities has been really helpful. One of them actually wrote one of my letters of recommendation too. And they've helped me realize that research is something that I want to pursue. So I'm going to get my master's in social work and do research after. So I'm very excited, and it's kind of being at Skidmore, being anywhere else, I don't think I would have gotten the exposure and the resources and the opportunities that I would have to get to where I am now. So that's definitely a big thank you to the professors because they've helped me quite a bit, and my advisors.
Over this semester, I've been getting asked like, "Are you sad to go? Are you happy?" And I am like so sad. Like I am very, very sad to leave Skidmore. I love it here. Everything I do on campus, I love, whether that was my time as an RA or working in admissions or anything, my classes, my professors. I mean, I love this campus. And it has prepared me extraordinarily well for my next steps. I got a job in December after graduation for a 15-month commitment before med school, which is like an amazing, I don't know, 6 months ahead of time. Yeah, I start in June, so 6 months ahead of time. And that was just because they've never taken someone from Skidmore before. They normally recruit from bigger research universities and Ivies, and that's because of the close research I had with professors is why I got the position. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, and this isn't only about me. So, you have questions, but this is for you, not for me. But just the way this school will prepare you, right? Whether that is in biology like myself, or cadence in social work, or even someone in dance or studio art, right? Like, fun fact, if you're a studio art major, you have your final showpiece in a nationally accredited museum by the time you graduate, right? Like, that's amazing, right? Every major can help prepare you for something and help you get to your goal of whatever that is. And honestly, I don't know if med school can live up to that. I'm like scared that it won't, because this school has done a lot for me. But yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you both for sharing your experiences there. And I know it's also a time of reflection for both of you. I know it is almost April in this space. So thank you so much for offering, a little bit of your insights here as well. We have so many wonderful questions that are coming from our students here in the audience. If you still continue to have questions, please send those along and we're happy to answer those for you. So I would love to divert our attention there. And we actually have a question specifically for Josh. There's a question that's asking, how have you had the opportunity to do any internships related to political science? And if so, what were they? And if you haven't had the opportunity, what may be on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore here. And actually this summer I'm interning at the Massachusetts State House with my state representative. And I talked a lot about different experiences I had at Skidmore when I was doing interviews for various internships. Just the skills I've acquired here from critical reading and writing, but also my time in student government. You probably won't meet many people who are as excited about student government as I am. But there's just so much going on there. For example, we just rewrote our entire constitution and all of our governing documents. And doing a massive project like that is really helpful for gaining internships. We also have a professor named Bob Turner. I'll give him a shout out here in the political science department, who is very incredibly connected with so many alumni and then people in Saratoga Springs, but also all around the country and globally. And he's constantly sending out emails to political science majors, but also has a lot of one-on-one conversations and is like, okay, I'm going to find you an internship doing this. So in addition to the Career Development Center, the faculty here are also just phenomenal in helping connect you with people who are able to get you an internship.
Way to go, Josh. That is awesome. Right before your junior year. That is excellent. And I hope that you have a wonderful time in Massachusetts. And there's something that Josh mentioned, which is, the role of student government is really great. Here at Skidmore, student government is integrated into the governance of Skidmore. And so there is the opportunity for student input to be a part of the policy and finance. And to have a student representative here that is on a meeting, every 2 weeks with our college president as well as our vice presidents to help move the college forward, and that there is that active input the same happens with inclusive practices, but the gathering as well, for which I am involved and had the opportunity to work with student government representatives there too. So just as Josh mentioned, there's so many great ways to be involved and also to be involved heavily and have impact as early as your first year too. So super excited for you that you get to expand that on a state level in New England, Josh. So there were some other questions here, and all along the same lines as it relates to these types of experiences, right, that are impactful for your career. There is a question here that talks about, does the Career Center help you find on-campus jobs? What does that look like? We did talk a little bit about, some students, have a wide variety of options. So whoever would like to answer.
I can take this one. Yes, I mean, the Career Development Center will help you with on-campus job, off-campus jobs, on-campus research, off-campus research, internships, really whatever. For on-campus jobs, really, if you can think of it, it exists. And it's really easier than going to the Career Development Center. You go online, and you'll see, like, I kid you not, 50 to 75 jobs just listed on a website that you can apply to. Some of them like may have like a prereq, for example, a lifeguard, right? You need to be a lifeguard. But others you don't, like office assistant, right? You just sit there and greet people when you come in, when they come in. So you can really do anything. Admissions is always hiring, for example, right? So we're infamous for hanging posters around and asking if you want to walk backwards with us. Other jobs include working in dining services, working as a grader in different departments, working in the athletic center, working for really any department on campus.
Thank you for sharing that, Braden, in that way. And also just to hark on the fact that if you are interested in admissions, it's a great opportunity, great office, putting that out there. So there are some other questions here that relate to the experience and or honestly the transition. And so if anyone has any experience, particularly with pre-orientation programs. So I know Jana mentioned a little bit about the Scribner seminar that prepares you for that first year. But there are also some other ways in which students can build community prior to their arrival to campus. If you're enrolled in our opportunity program, we have the Summer Institute that is about a month before school starts. And so can anyone talk through some of our pre-orientation programs here at Skidmore?
I can jump in now. I'm definitely going to forget some, so someone please jump in as well. So the Scoop program I previously mentioned, highlighted, I should say, is for roughly, again, 50 to 60% of the incoming freshman class can be accommodated just because there is an upper bound of how many students we can accommodate on that. And it's led by an upperclassman, so a sophomore, junior, or senior. And there's really, I think, 30 or something trips you can do. I may be wrong, but I believe it's about 30. And that can be whitewater rafting, canoeing, backpacking, hiking, being in the Adirondack Mountains or 20 minutes just south. These are all really accessible for us. But also, if that's like not your thing, you hate nature, you don't like bugs, totally fine. You can stay on campus, do something called the Saratoga Sampler, which is where you learn about Saratoga. There's one about theater. You do like different like theater like relay races and learn about the black box and the main stage and stuff like that. And there's other ones on campus as well, but the ones off campus are more popular. The Summer Institute, what Janessa mentioned, is for students in our opportunity program. So yeah, I believe you would know at this point if you're a part of that program. But you would come in, you would take one class on campus before, I believe it's one, possibly two. One class on campus beforehand. I'm with a professor, so I know my physics professor actually, right now, he participates in it. His name's Evan Halstead. And they loved him. I believe he taught Make How Stuff Works last summer. And I would see him teaching it. I was working over here over the summer, and they would like so into it. I wasn't in the course, obviously, but they looked so happy. They were using our Idea Lab at the time, what is kind of has a new home in the Center for Integrated Sciences, making like remote control cars and looking at how sewing machines and stuff work. There's a few different options there. Yeah, those are the two big ones. If I missed anything, please someone else jump in.
I think you've done a really great job, Brayden. If I could give you a test of how many pre-orientation programs, I think you would be at the top of that list. But it's important to know for our admitted students here in this group, if you choose to enroll or have already enrolled, you will most certainly have a great deal of information regarding our pre-orientation programs for this summer of 2024 very soon. And so also you'll learn a lot more about our Scribner seminar process, which is our first year experience course for all of our first year students. Our wonderful a faculty member who oversees the program is actually participating and leading a webinar next week that I'll share a little bit more information about that as well. So definitely something to look out for. So there is a question here from one of our wonderful students who's asking, what can I do in the summer at Skidmore if I don't intend to come home? So this student is an international student. And they're also wondering, are there any summer research or summer internships opportunities at Skidmore specifically?
Yeah, I can start if anyone has more to say. I was on campus this summer doing research. One of my professors and I applied for a grant last January, February, and it was approved. So I stayed on campus for 10 weeks over the summer, starting in May, ending August 3rd. And we did research together, like 9 to 5. And it was a really great experience. It was free room and board. And I got a stipend, so I was making money. Because I had told her, I was like, I use my summers to make money, and that's not really an option that I can just do research for fun, even though I want to. And she was like, don't worry. So that was really great. And I was on campus, and Saratoga in the summer is amazing. There's a horse racing track. There's Saratoga Performing Arts Center. My mom came up to visit. We went to see a ballet at the state park. It was really, really cool. And at the end of the 10 weeks, kind of the last 2-3 weeks of the program, you kind of spend that time making a poster. And then on the second floor of the dining hall, it's like a bunch of conference rooms. That's where we have Senate now for student government. And everyone puts their posters up, and it's a big research fair, and everyone comes, professors come, and other students, and you kind of get to see what everyone's been working on for the last 10 weeks. And my poster was right next to a chemistry poster, which was right next to a dance poster. So it was pretty crazy, all of us in one space. And it was a really, really cool experience because I had never been on campus over the summer. So yeah, and I had friends who were doing internships in the area and living locally. So that's also an option. They use the Career Development Center to kind of help find where they could work.
Yeah, I'd also just add on, there's also a lot of different professional experiences happening in Saratoga Springs and internships that are available to students. For example, in political science, one of our professors here in the business department is actually running for the state senate, and she's always looking for student interns, and she's hiring student interns for the summer. We're also not too far from Albany, which is the state capital, and internships happen there as well. And there also are just a lot of campus jobs over the summer that will sponsor you to stay on campus in a residence hall for the summer. So you have housing here as well. So in addition to all the research opportunities, there's also a lot of work opportunities here, and you can get housing to stay here as well.
Yes, to emphasize just what Josh mentioned, our office is one of them, but we know that our wonderful partners across Skidmore have the opportunity to support students, who are participating in the arts or in internships in Albany, which is a 30 to 45-minute ride down the Northway for our students. And so definitely an opportunity to pursue. So to talk a little bit about Saratoga Springs, we have students here who may be familiar with New York, upstate New York. We have students who've never stepped foot in this region whatsoever. And so can you share a little bit about, your experience in Saratoga Springs? What do students do on the weekends? And I know Braden mentioned like the best college town in the world, which is great. But can you briefly share a little bit about that to our audience today?
Okay, student participants or my peers, I would assume you're all gonna nod, but do you think Uncommon Grounds is the most frequented place by Skidmore students downtown? Yeah, okay. So Uncommon Grounds is a coffee shop that has bagels, and I kid you not, there's always a line. Like always. It could be 8 o'clock at night and there's a line, but it's so good. The bagels are amazing. That's I knew they would all nod because it's so good. Um, so if you love bagels, that's definitely the place to go. If you like sushi, there's an all-you-can-eat sushi place called Wasabi. That's your favorite. There's really cute like small businesses and thrift stores and stuff like that that line Broadway down there and the neighboring side streets. Other things that are down there for restaurants. Wheatfields if you like Italian, Slivo if you like Italian. Yep, I'm naming all the popular ones. Cadence, not El Cantina, Cantina. Yep, you love Cantina. Josh, I don't know what you like. Sorry. Um, uh, Bookstores, coffee stores. There's the Ben and Jerry's down there. AMC movie theater. Um, a lot. A state park. A Congress Park, what was designed by the person who designed Central Park in New York City. Right, so it's really cute and quaint, and there's a lot of weddings in there in the spring and fall. I'm gonna let other people share what they love because there's many other things.
As you may have seen, I love wasabi, love like all the different shops and restaurants. And a little fun thing that I like to do my freshman year is that all my I guess Brendan has mentioned that like there's a bunch of like parks around like downtown or uptown, and so me and my friends would always go and like taste all of like the waters as like a oh welcome to Skidmore. Do that as you will. I would recommend to do that on a warm day instead of a cold day like today. But it's just really fun to just explore the town, just have all the shops and just like work outside and see the ducks and all the geese like me and my friends would do in my freshman year. So like just explore, and like I always recommend the AMC in town because like there's always something going on and like movies to watch, TV shows, and like me and my friends would always like have like a movie night on Saturdays, and like there's a lot to do here.
Yeah, I mean, something that is just that Braden really touched on is the food here. There are just so many restaurants. And in my town, we have like two restaurants. I mean, only one like sit down one. I've actually never been there. But anyways, whenever my parents come to visit, and we go downtown, um, they just are just amazed by how many restaurants we have, and they want to like check them all out. And some people here I know have tried to go to every single restaurant in their time at Skidmore, but they haven't been able to just because there's so many. Another cool thing we have here is the racetrack, which is what Saratoga Springs is really well known for. A lot of that happens in the summer, but you can catch some at the beginning of the school year, and you can go see the horse races. It's just a really big part of Saratoga Springs culture and history, and that's just another cool thing that we have going on downtown.
Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of covered everything. Wheatfields is my favorite restaurant. They make all their own pasta. I go there whenever my family comes. I go there with them, and my friends took me there for my birthday. I have my friends' parents are coming this weekend. They're taking us there too. So I love wheat fields. And then, like I said, over the summer, there's New York City Ballet does their residency here, so they are here for about 2 weeks ish, and that's really cool. There's also a dance museum, so if dance is something that you're interested in, this is a pretty cool area. But yeah, it's just there's always so much to do. There's a really cute bookstore downtown and great ice cream places other than Ben and Jerry's. Just a lot to do, and there's nothing like this near me. I also have like two restaurants and we don't go to them, so being able to go downtown and eat good food anytime I want is really cool.
I love to hear it. And we do have a few restaurants, of course, that are associated with our Skidmore dining books, which is really great. So students can extend that downtown a little bit there. And also, just some opportunities to know that if you do happen to be here during the summer, that's when our city also comes really alive. It's live, throughout the year, but most certainly alive during the summer. And so definitely something to consider as you're considering thinking about, of course, Skidmore and Saratoga Springs. Well, at this time, we have covered so many of your wonderful, wonderful questions, and we want to thank you so much for submitting them. We do have a few questions for which you may not have been able to, we have been able to ask specifically for our students here. And so here in the chat, you'll actually see a list of all of our emails here for our panelists. And so if you have any questions after today, please know that you can follow up with our panelists here and of course their experiences, but also if there's something that you're interested in, it is very likely that this group knows someone else who may be able to answer that question for you. So don't hesitate, particularly as it relates to the student experience. I do want to share with you that this is not the last time that we'll be hosting one of our webinars. This is a wonderful welcome, a great introduction into the campus experience, the student life experience here at Skidmore. But we also have some great programs virtually and in person throughout this time of your decision making, including next Wednesday, we'll be hosting an Understanding Your Financial Aid Award with our Director of Financial Aid, Beth Post, who will be able to give you an overview of what does it look like as it relates to your financial aid award that you received, even if you're going through the financial aid appeal process, questions that you may have from a broad perspective. On the next day, on the 28th, we will have the opportunity to hear, of course, from our first year experience office to talk about what does it look like when you say, yes, I'm coming to Skidmore, what does the next line look like for you? And of course, including registering for classes and applying for housing and, all of these wonderful attributes and getting you here to campus in September. And of course, we have some other additional opportunities, particularly for our international students. We'll have 2 information sessions for you to be able to connect with our international coordinator within the admissions office, as well as international students here at Skidmore to learn about that experience. And of course, last but not least, we have 3 wonderful in-person programs during the month of April called our Yes Days, where you'll be able to come to campus, eat in our dining hall, which I will say is pretty good, especially as a staff member. I eat there all the time. And also have the opportunity to learn and to engage with our community. All of these pieces here are accessible to you through your application admission portal. And so know that you have the opportunity to take a look at those. But of course, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to email any member of the admissions team at admissions@skidmore.edu. And we're more than happy to answer those questions for you. But I'm going to give my huge round of applause to our wonderful 4 students, Cadence, Braden, Josh, and Jana, for their wonderful opportunity, just being able to share their experiences authentically and wonderfully. And of course, having the opportunity for you all to connect as well. So thank you all for sharing your experiences, and we look forward to continuing the conversation with you. Have a good night, everyone.